Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my 2018 DVD and Blu-ray collection overview. Okay, here we have the DVD remnants of the horror collection. Quite an assortment of stuff here. So let's just go row by row, and we'll get on through it here. So okay, first up we have 4 film favorites, a collection of Stephen King films. We've got Dreamcatcher, Dolores Claiborne, Cat's Eye, and Creepshow. All great films. Well, actually, I haven't seen Dreamcatcher, but I saw this in the theater. Saw this when I was a kid. Scared the hell out of me. I love it. Saw this as a kid. Scared the hell out of me. I love it. Great stuff. And the case is falling apart because it's cheap. So there you go. And in case you're wondering, flipper discs in a case that's falling apart, and it's an eco case. So many things I love here. Yeah, no. Not at all. We're going to set these aside as we go. So here we have the Fangoria Blood Drive. So this was basically a short film contest that Fangoria magazine did, and this was all the winners, and the menus are hosted by Rob Zombie. So this is an interesting assortment of short films. Some are better than others, but overall, a good time. And this was another Fangoria thing, or sponsored thing, basically a series of independent horror films, the Fangoria Fright Fest. They did 8, of which I have 6. I'm still missing 2 of them. I got to track them down one of these days. But this is The Haunting, no relation to the classic horror or haunted house movie of the same name. Completely different. Honestly, I really enjoyed these. There's some really good stuff in here. We have Fragile with Callista Flockhart. This is a wonderful ghost story, very disturbing and scary. We have Dark House, which stars Jeffrey Combs, just totally hamming it up. It's wonderful. This is so cheesy and so ridiculous and so much fun. Really enjoyed it a lot. And we have Hunger, which stars... who was it? It's the guy who... Lyndon Ashby, the guy who played Johnny Cage in the original Mortal Kombat movie. Basically a story about, cannibalism. And actually a really good story. I liked that one a lot. And then we have Roadkill, about a demonic semi-truck or something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But anyway, really good. Liked it a lot. And finally, if you're only going to get one out of all the ones in the entire Fangoria Fright Fest, get this one, Pig Hunt. This is so much freaking fun. I cannot recommend this movie highly enough. It's got some terrific practical effects for the giant mutant pig, and it's also just a wonderful kind of tongue-in-cheek, dark humor, cheesy, fun movie. Guys in the forest getting hunted and stuff like that. It's really, really good stuff. And then we have Dario Argento's Mother of Tears, the third of the Three Mothers trilogy, which I've owned for like a decade, and I still have yet to watch. I have seen the first 2, the first being, of course, Suspiria, the second being Inferno. Here we have a Trauma. Is this a Trauma? No, it's an Anchor Bay drive-in double bill. We've got Return of the Killer Tomatoes and Return to Horror High. Now, Return of the Killer Tomatoes is a sequel. Return to Horror High is not. I guess this is just the common link is they are both return something. And here I believe I did a review of this a while back. We have Panic in Year Zero and The Last Man on Earth, part of the MGM Midnight Movies series. It's a double feature, a couple of post-apocalyptic movies. Really good stuff. This one, of course, has had multiple releases over the years. It's also a public domain favorite. This is way better quality than the public domain versions out there. Panic in Year Zero is a very early sort of nuclear apocalypse type of film, and it's really freaking good. I actually really enjoyed it a lot. You know, I do love me some nuclear apocalypse movies. And we'll start with this one here. And then we have 1990, Bronx Warriors. This was recently released on Blu-ray. Sadly, I missed it, and now it is out of print. This is the first in the Bronx Warriors trilogy. And then we have the second in the Bronx Warriors trilogy, Escape from the Bronx, 1990, Bronx Warriors 2. It has what appears to be UK rating stickers on it. It's actually not a PAL or Region 2 release. It is a Region 1 release, so I don't know why it has that on there. And then we have Hell Comes to Frogtown. Love this movie so much. Arrow Video actually put out a really nice Blu-ray edition of this recently, which I would love to get my hands on, but I just haven't yet. But this is such a fun movie. Roddy Piper single-handedly trying to repopulate the Earth in post-apocalyptic times. Great fun. Love it. And here we got something for the Halloween season, just a Halloween ambience DVD. It's basically a bunch of scary sounds and music set to some spooky visuals. Just kind of put this on in the background during Halloween night. And speaking of nuclear apocalypse, we have The Day After, which I just found out today, actually, is getting a Blu-ray release. Definitely going to pick that up. I think Kino Lorber is actually putting it out. So great stuff. This is a Region 2 release. And this was sent to me by Bluto 1992 as a joke. And you may notice I still haven't even opened them. We have the triple feature of the extended editions of the first 3 Twilight films. Twilight, New Moon, and Eclipse. He has said on numerous occasions he would like me to do a live viewing of this entire series just so he can revel in my pain. So probably going to do that at some point because that would actually be kind of fun, and then at least I can say that I've seen them. And this is Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2. Again, the extended editions. So yeah, there you go. Dude didn't even send me the Blu-rays. How cheap. And here we have the earliest Arrow releases I got. A bunch of Arrow DVDs. Speaking of Inferno, we have Inferno. I've done videos about some of these, sort of showing you, getting you a closer look at the packaging and whatnot. Great stuff. So this is the second of Dario Argento's Three Mothers trilogy. As most of you will know, I still have my deluxe Anchor Bay edition of the original. I'll show you right here. There we go. Very nice. Synapse Films actually did a really nice restoration of this film recently and put it out on Blu-ray in multiple editions. And just for completion's sake, I also have Opera, which they also put out recently. Yeah, I really need to pick up that edition of Suspiria because that's just a fantastic film that I love. And then we have Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. Very nice Arrow edition. I actually have a different edition of this now, which is sort of now considered the definitive one. We've got Grindhouse Releasing's edition of The Beyond. Very nice Blu-ray edition there. Put that away. Okay, and then we have Lucio Fulci's City of the Living Dead. As you can see, I got a little Fulci section here. Great stuff. Yeah, needless to say, a lot of these I really want to upgrade to Blu-ray. And then we've got The House by the Cemetery, which has been a favorite of public domain collections for a long time. This, however, is the complete uncut edition, which contains some additional material not in those editions typically. And then we have Martin. This really needs a Blu-ray release. This never got a Blu-ray release, just got DVD. And I've got a Region 1 DVD of this kicking around somewhere as well. I'm not sure if it's in this pile somewhere or somewhere else. I don't know. We'll find it one of these days. And let's see what else. Okay, and then we have Three Extremes. This was something that I got from a coworker, I believe. He had a whole bunch of stuff and gave me his entire DVD collection. He decided to go all digital, and this was one of the things that was in there. And then we have Three Extremes 2. It's basically, I gathered some torture horror. I've never actually watched them, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. Alright, so that is stack 1. Stack 2. We have Final Scream, which I think is another obligatory kids go into the woods or something. Get stalked by a killer. Yeah, I've never seen it. Can you tell? I'm just going to put this... yeah, well, hold on. Got to make some room here. Shove that over. There we go. And here we've got a quadruple bill from Mill Creek. We've got Anatomy 1 and 2, which I actually do have on Blu-ray now. And then in addition to that, we have Double Vision and the remake of April Fool's Day. I actually got this originally for April Fool's Day because I thought that it was the original, but it's not. It's the remake. Oh, well. What are you going to do? And then we got another 4-movie collection. We got Agnes of God, Mary Riley, The Messenger, and is it The Patriot? Or no, The Pact of Silence. Sorry, I completely read that wrong. Mainly got this from Mary Riley and Agnes of God, basically. And the reason it's in the horror section is because of Mary Riley. So, yeah, basically it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde take. And I really liked it, actually. Some people didn't care for it, but I enjoyed it. And then we have Theater of Blood with Vincent Price. Which I did actually recently upgrade to Blu-ray with the Twilight time release. And we have the St. Francisville Experiment, which I really like, actually. It's a found footage film, haunted house story. I'm a sucker for found footage. I'm a sucker for haunted house stories. So you do a found footage story in a haunted house, and I am yours, basically. And then we have the Serpent and the Rainbow. This is the DVD edition that Skinslip sent me a while back. Which, of course, as you may know, I recently upgraded to the Scream Factory Collector's Edition on Blu-ray. Very, very nice. And then we have the cult classic, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which, by the way, VCI Entertainment recently did an anniversary edition of this, all remastered for Blu-ray. I really need to upgrade to that because I absolutely love this movie. This is such a good movie. Not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And then we have a double bill of classic horror. Here we've got I Walked with a Zombie and The Body Snatcher. The Body Snatcher features both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Great stuff. Really like that one a lot. And then we have Roman Polanski's The Tenant. Region 4. Yeah, Region 4 edition, Australia. And then we have Hannibal, the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. And just to kind of keep them in order here, we also have Red Dragon, the prequel to Silence of the Lambs. And Hannibal Rising, another prequel to Silence of the Lambs. I haven't watched any of them. I've only actually seen Silence of the Lambs, which was really good. And we have Lady in the Water. The original Candyman. Classic. And probably M. Night Shyamalan's best and his first, The Sixth Sense. Which, funny enough, was spoiled for me by a Star Wars fan film, of all random things. And we have The Host. Not the Stephanie Meyer one. And we have Death Point, which is some kind of indie shot-on-video action film that was left on the lunchroom table at one of my workplaces with a note, "Please feel free to take and enjoy." I have yet to watch it. If Skinslip is watching this, I can imagine he wants to now watch this with me, so we'll probably do that. And we have Bruce Campbell in Man with the Screaming Brain. Bruce Campbell's always fun. And I was glad to get this one back in the collection, even though I have the Blu-ray double feature of the first and second one. We have the collector's edition of Hostel, which actually has some great special features on it. So I actually do have the Mill Creek double feature Blu-ray of Hostel 1 and 2. I still have to watch the second one. I really liked the first one, though. I've actually watched it a number of times. Okay. And then here we have The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Red Eye. Nice Anchor Bay Collector's Edition of the original Phantasm. Oh, same cover underneath. And I was actually just sent by Bowles Trek the recent remastered Blu-ray edition of Phantasm. So very cool. Looking forward to finally checking that out. And then we have The Orphanage. And autographed by the director, Mr. Paul Bonnell himself, The Ghastly Love of Johnny X, which is a really fun movie that I recommend to anybody who loves 50s sci-fi and or musicals. It's not entirely a musical. This is really hard to classify, honestly. You might call it horror, you might call it sci-fi. It's basically a huge love letter to classic horror and classic sci-fi and just a general love of film. Plus, the director, Paul Bonnell, I actually am friends with him on Facebook. Super cool guy, really funny, really nice. And I'm going to actually keep this out of the pile here. Then we have the Predator Special Edition. Still, in my opinion, the best edition of Predator ever. Fuck every single Blu-ray release this has ever had. There is supposedly a 4K remaster out there now. I'm hoping that we see a Blu-ray of it. And we got Predator 2 Special Edition. Even if they do come out with a nice edition of these movies, actually I think the edition of Predator 2 isn't too bad, but it's worth keeping these 2-disc special editions just for the extras. There's quite a cornucopia of extras on there. And then we have Blood Rain, not Blood Rain 2, the unrated director's cut. Yuva Bull actually follows me on Twitter, by the way. He's an interesting guy. All right. He calls Skinslip his #1 fan. So there you go. Always remember that. Skinslip is Yuva Bull's #1 fan. And then we have Mystery Horror Tales Volume 1, which is basically some Asian horror here. We've got Mainichi, Cruel Kidnapping, and Desire to Kill. I think this was sent to me by Jadzia many, many years ago. I think she had picked it up and never got around to watching it. I'm actually just going to move over to the other side here because it's a little hard to reach everything from where I am. Just excuse my legs for a moment. And I'm sure you're all reading the labels on my VHS tapes here. This is mainly stuff I taped off TV over the years, which is why I haven't bothered to do any videos about it, because who cares? It's stuff I taped off TV. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm digitizing all of these slowly but surely, and then just getting rid of the tapes, because quite frankly they're worthless. Then we have Paranormal Entity, which is when Paranormal Activity came out, the Asylum, a famous mockbuster company, wanted to kind of cash in on it, so they put out Paranormal Entity. And a lot of the time their mockbusters are kind of, well, they are what you expect them to be. They're just cheesy ripoffs of something popular. This one is actually really good. Like, I was genuinely surprised. Like, this is a really solid found footage horror movie. So, yeah, if you see it in the bargain bin, give it a chance if you like found footage. Then we have A Bucket of Blood, Special collector's edition of Bubba Hotep, which Scream Factory actually did another collector's edition of recently. I may or may not grab that at some point. I probably will, just to have it on Blu-ray. And I'm sure they've got some exclusive extras there as well. Then we got 1408. Great, basically haunted house movie, or I guess haunted hotel movie. The Lost Room, which I think was a mini-series, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was a mini-series. And this is almost redundant now with some of the recent Blu-ray releases. We have 4 movie Midnight Marathon Pack. Psychos. We got Psycho 2, Psycho 3, Psycho 4 The Beginning, and Bates Motel. Now, that is not the recent Bates Motel. This is the pilot movie of Bates Motel, starring Bud Cort and Lori Petty, for a proposed series that didn't get picked up. So there you go. And as far as I'm aware, this is the only place you can get that pilot episode, is this 4-movie pack. So even though I actually have Psycho 2, 3, and 4, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 all on Blu-ray, I got this strictly for the Bates Motel pilot, just to have that in the collection. Here we have The Dark, which is a foreign film that seems to get a lot of inspiration from Silent Hill. This definitely has a huge Silent Hill vibe. I did a little review of it a while back, if you want to check that out. I honestly don't remember much about it because it's been so long since I've seen it, but I remember really liking it because of the Silent Hill vibe. This is a cult favorite. We have Black Sheep, the unrated edition, basically about killer mutant zombie sheep in New Zealand, with special effects by Weta Workshop. Yes, the same folks who did all the Lord of the Rings movies and lots of other stuff. Fantastic company. And that, needless to say, it's very tongue-in-cheek and darkly funny. Here we have The Changeling, which I did a review of a while back. Really, really good ghost story starring George C. Scott. And then we have The Haunting of Julia, this is a fan-made DVD, I think from the VHS release. I don't know if maybe this has a release now. I remember at the time that I got this, it did not have a DVD release. I haven't really followed up on it since. I need to check into that at some point. But really good movie anyway. And then we have Boogeyman, which I did do a review of a few Halloweens ago. I liked this a lot more than other people did because I think they went into it expecting it to be more of a monster movie, and it's more of a psychological horror. And I really dig psychological horror, so for me, I had no issues with that. Then we have Omen 4, The Awakening. I used to have all the Omen movies on DVD. The only reason I kept this one is this was a TV movie, and it has never had a Blu-ray release. So I'm assuming the elements either don't exist or it's just not popular enough for them to care. So the other Omen movies have all been put out on Blu-ray. I need to reacquire them on that format one of these days. But anyway, I kept this one because it's the only one that didn't get a Blu-ray release. I've talked about this one a few times. We have The Last Broadcast, which is an early found footage film, actually. Came out a couple years before the Blair Witch Project sort of popularized the genre and made it explode. But this is definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of found footage. It's a really good one. And then we have the Fright Night 10 movie pack. 10 movies on the, what do we got here? We got The Ape Man, The Bat, The Bowery at Midnight, The Devil Bat, The Ghost Walks, The Island Monster, One Frightened Night, Scared to Death, Shock, and The White Gorilla. There we go. And this should probably go up in my franchise collection with the movies. We have Halloween, 25 Years of Terror. So this is essentially a feature-length documentary all about the Halloween franchise. This is the 2-disc special edition, which has a whole pile of stuff and some cool goodies packed in. I'll probably do a video about this at some point. It's a really, really nice set that I got a hell of a deal on. Needless to say, it's been out of print for a while, but it's much like the other feature-length documentaries that you see, like Never Sleep Again for the Nightmare on Elm Street ones, and His Name Was Jason, and Crystal Lake Memories for the Friday the 13th movies. Essentially, this is the Halloween one, so this will is a nice companion piece to the... I'm actually going to take this out because I want to put it with the franchise collection. And, yeah. So then we have Something Wicked This Way Comes. from the so-called dark Disney period, which is probably one of my favorite periods of Disney. This is based on the Ray Bradbury story. First thing I remember seeing Jonathan Pryce in, actually, as Mr. Dark. And he's wonderfully creepy and scary in this. Also, the first thing I remember seeing Jason Robards in. He's really good in this, too. Great movie. Then we have D. Snider's Strangeland, which I've heard rumors for a while. There may be a sequel in the works, or he was talking about doing a sequel. I don't know if that's still happening, but really like this one a lot. This is kind of a bit of a twist on, I guess, body horror genre, where it's a psychotic killer who likes to use piercings and sort of S&M stuff to torture his victims to death. Cool stuff. And then we have the all-night horror marathon movies. Anyway, this is a Scream Factory collection. I should have shown this in my Scream Factory set, actually. But anyway, we've got What's the Matter with Helen, The Vagrant, The Godsend, and The Outing. Good collection of stuff there. I swear I had another one of those here somewhere. Is this it here? No, this is a different one. Well, we'll put them together. We have the Roger Corman's Cult Classics All-Night Marathon. We've got Lady Frankenstein, The Velvet Vampire, Time Walker, and Grotesque. I now, of course, have both The Velvet Vampire and Time Walker on Blu-ray. Shout Factory released it as part of their limited edition series. But I keep this one, of course, for the other two movies on there. And I thought there was another set. Yeah, here it is. This is, the four movie all-night horror marathon, Volume 2. We have The Dungeon Master, Cellar Dweller, Contamination Point 7, and Catacombs. Now, one of those... Now, The Dungeon Master, I upgraded to Blu-ray with this double feature here, which also featured Eliminators. So we got two early Charles Band films there. Great stuff. And I should mention, both on this DVD and the Blu-ray, it is the full uncut version of The Dungeon Master, specifically the version that goes by the title Rage War. So it includes a little bit of nudity at the beginning and a dream sequence that is cut out of the other cut, which I used to have, well, actually I still have on Laserdisc, and I was quite disappointed when I got the Laserdisc and saw that scene was cut out. But anyway, it's in the Shout Factory versions, or the Scream Factory versions, so very good. Okay, so carrying on here, we have some Mill Creek movie compilations. We've got Freakshow Cinema. I'm not going to go through the whole list of movies. There's so many on here. Each one has 12 movies on it, so good stuff. And then we have The Best of the Worst. Well, I guess you can kind of see what some of them are there. I don't know how well you can read that, but good stuff. And then we got the 12-film Flesh Fest, Zombies, Unbrained. Some great stuff on these. Then we got American Horror Stories. Yeah, most of these compilations are older movies and cult movies that have been on other compilations. Some of them are newer ones. This is all older stuff. Taboo Tales. This has stuff like Reefer Madness and The Marijuana Menace and things like that. So all kind of, propaganda scare movies back in the days of heightened paranoia. And here we have Vintage Movie Classics, Horror Classics. These were a series of bargain releases that came out a while back, and they got little blurbs about the stars there. So what is this one? This has the Satanic Rites of Dracula, Horror Express, and Jack the Ripper. That version of Jack the Ripper, by the way, has Klaus Kinski in it. It's quite good. And we have Unspeakable Horror, Classic Silence. So we've got some silent movies here. We've got The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And we got some additional info there. Now, of course, as most of you probably know, I recently upgraded The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari to the absolutely gorgeous Kino edition This one is absolutely beautiful. I've never seen the movie look so good. It's just phenomenal. And then finally, we have one more. We've got Trio of Terror. Not to be confused with Dan Curtis's classic TV movie, Trilogy of Terror. So this is 3 movies. We've got Nosferatu, House on Haunted Hill, and Night of the Living Dead. Pretty much all of which have better prints than what you will find on this edition. The version of Nosferatu that's on here, by the way, is there's been a few different public domain releases over the years. This one is an interesting one because it's the one that has the gothic rock soundtrack to it. So it's, yeah, kind of cool to have that because I'm definitely one who enjoys all things gothic. Now here, you may be wondering why I have 2 editions of Near Dark. Well, let me show you. Here's this one. We open this up. There we go. Okay, that all looks normal. Very good. We got Near Dark. Excellent little booklet. Very nice. This is essentially the, as far as DVD editions go, this is the definitive DVD edition. This is the one to get. Excuse you, if you want the definitive DVD edition. So why do I have it twice? Well, let me show you. So open this up. Oh, Near Prophet. What the hell? Yeah, so this was apparently a widespread issue with the first pressing of this set. Was several, like, I don't know, hundreds or thousands went out with the first disc of the Near Dark set, and then the second disc of Prophet. It's actually labeled as the second disc of Prophet, but it's actually the first disc of Prophet. Prophet was a short-lived TV series. There was a complete series set that they put out, and I guess it came out around the same time, and somehow somebody got their wires crossed. So not only is it the wrong disc, but it's the wrong disc labeled wrong for what it actually is. Right series, wrong disc number. Anyway, the cool thing about it is, though, I was able to see the pilot episode of Prophet, which was actually a really good show, but it wasn't Near Dark. So anyway, this was sent to me by a viewer. He felt really bad that he'd sent me the erroneous edition, so he sent it to me again, and this time made sure that it was the right edition. So, bless him. And then we got a Dario Argento film here. We got Sleepless. And another collection of movies. We got the Cult Horror Collection, 9 movies on 3 DVDs. This one, we've got an interesting selection. This is from St. Clair Vision. We've got Don't Look in the Basement, Memorial Valley Massacre, and Kill Baby Kill, which is by Mario Bava, actually. And then disc 2, we've got The Demon, The Hatchet Murders, and Pieces. And then finally on disc 3, we've got Silent Night, Bloody Night, Night of Bloody Horror, and Horror Rises from the Tomb. So, some classics there. Now, I have The Thing on DVD. And you may wonder why, because I've got literally 4 editions of it on Blu-ray. There's a couple of reasons. First off, this is sort of the original presentation of the extras, such as the feature-length documentary Terror Takes Shape. The main reason, however, is the commentary track on this. The commentary track on this is the original, uncensored, unaltered commentary track with some questionable humor from Kurt Russell at one point. That was later omitted from all the Blu-ray releases and all the subsequent releases of that commentary track. So this contains the original commentary track, which dates back, by the way, to the Laserdisc special edition from like 20 years ago. It's a great commentary with Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, and I hated to hear that it had been censored for the Blu-ray release. So I keep this strictly for the commentary. Also worthy of note, this particular edition is the only anamorphic DVD edition. Now this one did get a couple of different versions in terms of packaging, but the disc content was the same. I used to have the previous edition of this, which was a little nicer. It wasn't just a regular keep case. It was actually kind of a slide-out case with some clear aspects to the front cover and stuff. But anyway, I keep this for the commentary. Then we have Nadya, which I also actually have on Laserdisc. Really good independent horror film, like vampire film, loosely based on Daughter of Dracula. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. It also features Peter Fonda as the sort of Van Helsing character, and was, I guess, executive produced by David Lynch. So he, yeah, he was he's executive producer on this. So yeah, kind of cool. David Lynch does a vampire movie, sort of. And then we have the Alien Factor, which is a wonderfully awful, low-budget sci-fi horror movie, which I absolutely love. And so much so that I got the Blu-ray edition as well. I was kind of annoyed, though. The Blu-ray edition is actually cropped. The original film was shot and shown in 4:3 aspect ratio. This has been cropped to 16:9, and kind of clumsily, might I add. It's not the greatest Blu-ray presentation, but it is nice to finally see the movie in some form of high definition. But and it also carries over all the extras from this delightfully deluxe DVD edition. It's very, very nice indeed. Next up, from the same director as the Alien Factor, Don Dohler, we have Fiend, which is, yeah, basically about a music teacher who gets killed and comes back as a zombie. And for some reason, nobody notices that he's a zombie, and they keep sending their children over to his place for music lessons. It's a very strange film, but I enjoyed it for the sort of cheesiness that it was. And here we have the Drive-In Cult Classics 8-movie collection. So we just got some classic drive-in cheese there. And here we have Zombie Night, starring Anthony Michael Hall and Daryl Hannah. Yeah, I've definitely never watched this. I don't even know how I got this one, but here it is. And here we have Damon Packard's Reflections of Evil, a very strange independent film that goes to some very bizarre places. But I really enjoyed this a lot. I watched this with Stoudman a few years ago, and we both enjoyed the weirdness. And here we have Young Warlocks. Paradise Lost. Ah, here we go. This is really nice. Very nice Region 2 Collector's Edition of Creepshow. Lots of extras on there. I like to go with that side of the spine there. And then Creepshow 2. Yeah, both Creepshow and Creepshow 2 have some pretty nice Blu-ray editions out by now. I need to upgrade to those at some point. And here we have The Grudge, which of course was based on Ju-On. I used to have Ju-On on DVD, but sadly I do not anymore. Never actually seen the Grudge version of it, but I really like Ju-On. Then we have The Ring 2. I don't actually have The Ring 1. I used to have it many, many years ago, but do not anymore. Though, as an interesting aside to that, I do have Ringu, the Anthology of Terror, which has all of the original Ringu films that The Ring was based on. And then another 4-movie collection from Mill Creek, which I got primarily for this film here, The Return of the Vampire, which featured Bela Lugosi coming back as a Dracula-esque character when Universal just, for whatever reason, didn't want to do a sequel with him. So we got Return of the Vampire, we got The Revenge of Frankenstein, which is a Hammer one, Mr. Sardonicus, and The Brotherhood of Satan. Now, speaking of that, I actually do have a Blu-ray which contains Mr. Sardonicus and the Brotherhood of Satan in a nice double bill there. And then we have Van Helsing, The London Assignment, which is basically an animated prequel to Van Helsing, which I do have on Blu-ray. It's way up there. I don't feel like grabbing it, so you can just take my word on that. We have Basic Instinct. This is the nice edition that has the ice pick with it. Very cool. Classic. Michael Douglas, Susan Sarandon. And we have my original DVD snapper case of The Haunting. And the reason I keep that is because it has a whole bunch of extras on it, which are not on the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray has a few things. It doesn't have quite everything. I did sort of do a side-by-side comparison there. So, because it's one of my all-time favorite horror movies ever, kept both editions. This one's a lot of fun. Angry Video Game Nerd did a big video about this a while back, and I forgot all about it, and then just kind of was looking for cool stuff for Halloween season and found this. Monsters Crash the Pajama Party. This is such a bizarre disc. Angry Video Game Nerd described it as like a box of assorted chocolates for the Halloween season, because essentially what it is that it has very cryptic menus where it's not obvious what you click on and what you're going to get. It doesn't tell you what it is. It's just kind of a random grab bag of stuff. And there's shorts, there's Easter eggs, there's a couple of movies on here, all like low budget things that you've never seen or heard of before. It's just honestly a lot of fun. Like if you love the Halloween season as much as I do, grab this. It's an absolute blast. Might have a little trouble navigating the menus, Lord knows I did, but it's worth it because there's some really cheesy Halloween-y gold there. And then we have The Trail of Dracula, which is a wonderful documentary all about the history of Dracula. Yeah, it's great stuff. Really, really good stuff. So we've got we've got the documentary, and then there's like an hour and a half of Dracula movie trailers, and all kinds of cool stuff. So, really good. And then finally we have Shadow of the Vampire, which is a fictitious account of the making of Nosferatu, which I really liked a lot. It features John Malkovich as the director, and F.W. Murnau, and Willem Dafoe as Max Schreck, and possibly Max Schreck was a real vampire. At least that's what this movie postulates. And this is really fun. I actually did a review of it this past Halloween, and I really liked this a lot. First, I watched the Nosferatu movies, the original 1922 version, and then both versions of the 1979 version, the German and English. And then I watched this to kind of cap it all off. And what a blast. Like, especially after watching the original movies and then watching this. So much fun. I highly recommend it. All right, we are almost at the end here. And then we have another double bill. We have, once again, we have What's the Matter with Helen? I swear we have that on one of our other compilations somewhere. Anyway, we got What's the Matter with Helen and Whoever Slew Auntie Roo from the MGM Midnight Movies double feature collection. Very nice. It was a great collection of horror movies and cult films that didn't have releases previously. They did like 100 volumes of this too. It was a huge, huge collection. And here we got a Troma Triple B header, 3 movies. The Nightmare Never Ends collection. So we got The Nightmare Never Ends, Igor and the Lunatics, and Frostbiter, Wrath of the Wendigo. There we go. If you ever want to get a taste of Troma, they have a YouTube channel that actually has pretty much all their movies on it, which is great. So here we got Lust and Desire in Vegas, High Stakes. Lachrymose lesbians, perverted hillbillies, and sex-crazed hitchhikers in a desert of greed and sin. Oh, so it's a family movie. Cool. Troma has made an empire of schlock. It's wonderful. Zombie Planet, which was an entirely shot on video, epic post-apocalyptic tale of zombies, and it's like Mad Max meets zombies, but really low budget. There's a second part to this, which I've been meaning to pick up for years. They actually have a box set collection that has there's 2 movies. There's Zombie Planet and Zombie Planet 2, and then there's the Legacy of Cain or Story of Cain or something like that. It's a character in it named Cain, anyway, which is basically a re-edit of the whole thing into a shorter movie. But no, give me the long longer cut, long-winded cut. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. So, I don't know what to tell you. Here it is. I knew I had it somewhere. This is the Region 1 version of Martin, which I also have in addition to the very rare Arrow Collection edition. This is such a great movie. It's an early George Romero film. Very different take on the vampire story, essentially. Really good. I liked it a lot. Then we have a documentary about Dario Argento, An Eye for Horror. This has shown up as an extra on certain releases of his movies. But if somehow you missed that or didn't get that on your edition of his movies, then you can actually get it separately here. So there you go. So documentary all about the man himself. And then finally, last but not least, we have Trauma, which I think was his first American film. And yeah, has a really good cast. It's got Brad Dourif and what's her face, Piper Laurie. Yeah, it's really cool. I've actually watched this a couple times. Some people don't care for it; they feel it's a little too Americanized, and some aspects of it do kind of stretch credibility and make you kind of stretch your belief a little bit. But whatever, it's all in good fun and appropriately disturbing in all the right ways, as only Dario can do, you know? Can't complain too much. Alright, let's put everything back on the shelf here. This should be really quick. Go. Boom. There we go. Get in there. Okay. And boom. There we go. Perfect. And let's put Martin back with Martin. There we go. Martin and Martin together again at last. Well, I think that does it for the horror section. That came from deep down. Okay, here we go. So this is the DVD remnants of the horror collection. Some of these